Hello, citizens. Councillor John Carlo Carra reporting for episode 47 of Ward 9 TV. We're sitting in a smoking hot day at the end of July, and this September, Council's set to begin again the big debate on secondary suites. I'm going to dedicate the next two episodes, this one and the next one, to discussing the secondary suite issue in advance and in anticipation of Council's debate in September. And I thought what I'd do for episode 47 is take us into the neighborhoods of Ward 9, this is Ramsey, and take a look at someone who has recently built a secondary suite and have a discussion with them about why and what and all of that. So we're on 8th Street, which is going to be the future Main Street of Ramsey, and we're going to meet James Purdy, who lives in a house that was custom built with his family above, and in the dugout main floor, a secondary suite unit that he uses as a supplement to his income, a rental suite. Let's go meet James. So I'm standing in the beautiful forecourt of James Purdy's secondary suite, which exists at street level below his home on 8th Street in Ramsey. James, thank you for joining us on Ward 9 TV.
Thanks for having me.
And maybe you can tell me a little bit about why did you decide to include a secondary suite when you built your new home?
Well, it goes back to, I've been in Ramsey, I guess about 12 years, and like the neighborhood, I've worked downtown the whole time I've been here. So I like the walkability, the bikeability especially. Then I met my current wife. She wanted to stay in Ramsey as well. So we bought this place kind of with a 5-year plan of either renovating or tearing it down and building something new. The house that was here was 100 years old, but it didn't have any of the original character. It had been renovated a number of times, and we discovered we can make a lot better use of the space if we rebuilt. And then the secondary suite application came up, the secondary suite grant that came up a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. So we applied for that and succeeded in obtaining that, and it just makes a lot of sense. So we don't need a huge amount of space, and it was perfect because we were up on a grade before. We're able to dig it right down, so have sidewalk access, easy for somebody to adapt it to anybody with mobility problems or anything like that, or us down the road when we get really old. And
so, I mean, that's very socially responsible of you, James, but why would you, what was in it for you to build a secondary suite?
I mean, there was a grant which helped certainly with the build, and then it's a source of income that goes on in perpetuity, essentially. So we have a nice house that's more than what we could afford without the suite. So the suite just supplements our mortgage and makes it a really nice place to live in the inner city.
How did the grant work?
We applied. We went to an information session. We had to submit some expenses to show that it was legitimate, and then we received an amount of money after I think our plans were approved, and then kind of the second slice after we got occupancy on the suite. And then now we basically have a contract with the city where we have agreed to rent out the suite for 5 years at a rate that the city dictates, or not dictates, that's not quite the right word, but basically that we've agreed to.
Peg it to a certain income level. So we've created an affordable housing unit in the inner city.
Yeah, and it's based on the average suite price for this area or for the city. So it's good. It's not unreasonable, and it works well for us. So.
Okay, so you've described the theoretical dream of what a secondary suite does. Is it allows you to live in a really nice inner city home, cover your property tax, live in a house that's a little bit nicer than you would have been able to accommodate on your own. Isn't looking after a tenant just a nightmare? Does everyone know who wants to be a landlord? How hard has this been from a practical perspective?
It has been exceptionally easy. We put an ad on Kijiji. We asked some friends that we knew. We had an excellent tenant secured within 3 days of our ad. So I mean, it's a really appealing area. For one thing, we're a 10-minute walk away from downtown. So really, I think we had our pick of tenants. The guy that we have, we never see, and he pays his rent on time. So he's ideal.
Okay, so, I mean, I don't see a downside right now.
No, the other thing is, because we were specifically building with a secondary suite in mind, we were able to make all the design decisions to accommodate a tenant. So we had considered renovating the house to include a secondary suite as well, since we were looking at the program. But just the way that the basement was set up and the foundation, it wasn't tenable to do, really, or tenantable. Thank you. I'm here all week. We were able to basically design the build with the tenant in mind and keep essentially the same footprint of the old house, but double the square footage, just because better use of space and whatnot. And then have a really usable basement with the walkout. So it's like a really separate area with a nice amenity space. As soon as we get some planters in the front here, then it'll be pretty cozy and comfortable.
All right, James. So you've basically sung the praises of secondary suites. I don't see a downside. Let me ask you the final question. Would you recommend this to a family member or a friend who is seeking to rebuild or acquire property in the inner city?
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. Like, it's a matter of, downsizing a bit, making the most of the space that you have, while at the same time supplementing an income and making the most use of your property, right? So I think it's great. And I think, with a bit of savvy, and just some care in terms of who you pick, there's no reason why you can't get a great tenant. I mean, we're not like an absentee landlord where we're going to let the price run down. We have a vested interest in having a good tenant, and our neighbors appreciate it. And like I say, there's no problem.
Super cool. Thanks for spending time with me in this beautiful sunny forecourt of your secondary suite below your beautiful home here in Ramsey.
Thank you very much.
This is Councillor Giancarlo Carra, James Purdy signing off for episode 47 of Ward 9 TV.